Semester 1 test review. So tests are on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Tuesday is 6th and 8th. Wednesday is 1, 3, 5, and 7. Thursday is 2nd and 4th. So number 1 asks for the domain and range of the quadratic function negative x minus 3 squared plus 9. So I'm going to put it in the calculator and look at the graph. I can square any value and get a value. So my domain is all real numbers. My range is what I need to look at. It's based off of this number, but I'm going to look at if it's greater than or less than 9. So I put it in y equals. I'm going to go to the table. Well, I'm going to graph it first and then go to the table. Oh, my window is bad. Window. I'm going to go to zoom and press 6, and he goes back to a standard window. Okay, so it's way down here, and it comes up, and it hits 9, and it comes back down. So it looks like 9 is my max. So go to the table just to make sure of all these small numbers. It gets up to 9, and it goes back down. So 9 is my max, and 3, 9 is my vertex, but 9 is my max, my y values. So y is greater than or equal to 9. So number 2, what is the range of the function y equals 2x squared minus 4x minus 10 when the domain is negative 3, 2, and 6? So it gives you some x values, and it asks you to find your y values. So I'm going to put that function, that equation in y1. And go to the table. So at negative 3, it's 20. So that's what I want. And then at 2, it's negative 10. Then at 6, it's 38. So my range is negative 10, 20, 38. I want to write an order from least to greatest. So number 3, look at the function shown to the left. What is the parent function of this function? So the starting point, and then it kind of increases from there. It looks like half of a parabola. That's the square root function. I don't care what it is, I just know that's a square root function. It's all it's asking, not finding anything special about it, just trying to find what type of function it is. Number 4, find the vertex. We did that in the table. If we can't find it in the table, then we're going to have to do something else. But I put it in y1. We go to the table. Look for repeating values. That's the vertex. So you see there's 9, 9, 12, 12, 17, 17, and right in the middle of that is negative 7, 8. So negative 7, 8 is our vertex. Number 5, it asks me to find the inverse of 4 different functions. So the first one, I'm multiplying by 4 and I'm subtracting 3. So in the inverse, I'll be adding 3 and dividing by 4. And B, I'm subtracting 5, then I divide. So in the inverse, I'm going to multiply, then add. So if you're still not able to look at the equation and write down the inverse, that's where you can make the table. For letter B, it might not be obvious to you. So you start with X, and you're following PEMDAS. So you're subtracting 5, then you're dividing by 4. So the opposite, you start with the last step and do the opposite. So the opposite of divide would be multiply by 4, and then add 5. That's what I did here. So C, the only thing I did was add 11. So on the inverse, I'm just going to subtract 11. And then D, I added 7, then I divided by 3. I'm going to multiply by 3 and subtract 7. Number 6, it asks for the domain. So you look at the x values. If you're not sure, take the point and go all the way down to the x-axis. So I have 1, I have 2, I have 3, I have 4, I have 5. So my domain is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not, that is not the same thing. I have 5 and 6. Can't forget about 6. The second one is saying that I have every single decimal value in between 1 and 6. I don't. I strictly have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You would use a discrete function when you're talking about people, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different people. You don't have a domain of 1 through 6 people, because that would include like half people, 1.5 people. That's not something we talk about with math. So you want the discrete, because it says discrete. And this would be for a continuous function. Number 7, what are the factors of 3x squared plus 7x minus 20? That's where we did the table in the box. take the first and the last and multiply. 3 times negative 20 is negative 60. So you find two numbers that multiply to give you negative 60, but add to give you 7. So you have like 3 and 20, 2 and 30, 5 and 12, 6 and 10, it's going to have to be negative 5 and 12. Negative 5 plus 12 gives me 7. So from here, I know my two numbers, so I'm going to go to the box. My first term goes in the first box. My last term goes in the last box. And then my two factors go on the diagonal. So now look at what's common between 5 and negative 5 and 3. There's 1 in common, but there's an x in common. Between 3 and 12, there's a 4 and an x. Between negative 5 and negative 20, there's a negative 5. Between 12 and negative 20, there's a 4. So my answer is 4x minus 5, x plus 4. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, that's a 3. Three and 12 have a 3 in common, not a 4 in common.